All right, let's talk about one of the biggest financial puzzles out there. How in the world are you supposed to save for a house and invest for retirement at the same time? It really feels like you have to pick one, but I promise you, you don't. And by the end of this, you're going to have a clear step-by-step system to build for both your present and your future.
I mean, this quote just hits the nail on the head, right? Everybody gives you the advice, but nobody actually gives you the playbook for how to pull it off when you're not making $1 million a year. Well, that's exactly what we're going to build today, the playbook.
So you see a number like this, $50,000, and it can feel totally paralyzing. Like, how is that even possible? But here's the really good news. That huge number, it's usually based on some pretty big myths. You might not need anywhere near that much, and there is a clear, achievable way to get there without ghosting your retirement account.
Okay, before we get into the plan, let's just quickly look at the stakes. What actually happens if you go all in on one of these goals and just totally ignore the other? Understanding the trade-offs here is absolutely key. This right here is the classic trap. On one hand, if you only focus on saving for a house, you miss out on years, sometimes decades, of your money making money for retirement. That's the magic of compound growth. And every dollar you don't invest in your 20s or 30s could be worth so much more down the line. But on the other hand, if you only invest, you might be stuck renting forever, dealing with rising costs, and missing out on building that all-important home equity. See? Either way, one of your big life goals takes a major hit. So, how do we break out of that lose-lose cycle? Well, step one is we have to get real about the numbers. To make this whole thing feel possible, we first need to bust the biggest myth of all about how much money you actually need to save up.
Okay, just forget the 20% rule. Seriously, it's a myth and it holds way too many people back. Look at the data. The median down payment for a first-time homebuyer is actually closer to 8%. Now, let's just put that into perspective for a second. On a $350,000 house, 20% is a whopping $70,000. But 8%? That's $28,000. That one little fact can completely change the game and make this feel so much more achievable.
And these are the real-world tools that make it happen. You've got FHA loans, which are fantastic if your credit score isn't perfect, and they can require as little as 3.5% down. Some conventional loans, if you have stronger credit, can go as low as 3%. And hey, if you're a veteran or you're buying in a qualified rural area, you might even be able to get a VA or USDA loan with 0% down. These programs were literally created to help people buy homes without a massive pile of cash.
Now you might be thinking, okay, what's the catch? Well, the trade-off for a lower down payment is usually this thing called private mortgage insurance, or PMI. Just think of it as an extra fee you pay each month. And it's not for you, it's to protect your lender. It's not fun, but honestly, it's often a small price to pay to get into a home years earlier and start building your own wealth. Plus, it's not forever. Once you build up 20% equity in your home, you can get it removed.
Okay, this next part is so important. The single biggest factor that will shape your entire plan is your timeline. How you save for a house you want to buy in 2 years is completely different from how you'd save for one that's 5 or more years away. This changes everything.
This is what's known as a glide path. Think of it like a plane coming in for a landing. If buying a home is way out on the horizon, say 5+ years away, you can afford to be more aggressive and invest that home bucket for higher growth. But as you get closer to your goal, you need to slowly and systematically de-risk that money, moving it into safer places. The absolute last thing you want is for a random stock market dip to slash your down payment right when you need it.
Okay, so we've busted the myths, we've set our timeline. Now let's get to the real heart of the system. How do you actually split up your money every single month? This is where we bring in the bucket strategy. It's simple. You'll have a home bucket for your down payment and a grow bucket for your long-term investments.
Before you even think about putting a single dollar towards a house, you absolutely positively must do this. An employer match on your 401k is an immediate, guaranteed 100% return on your money. It's free. Not taking it is literally just leaving free money on the table. This is your non-negotiable first step, always.
Okay, so once you've secured that free money, here's a sample way to think about your extra savings. Let's just say you find an extra $500 a month in your budget. You could split it based on your priorities. Maybe 60% or $300 goes straight into that home bucket to fast-track your down payment. Then 30% or $150 goes into your grow bucket for retirement, something like a Roth IRA. And that last 10%, just $50, can go to top off your emergency fund. See?
This way you're making real progress on the house, but you're also keeping that retirement engine running.
So, what's the secret to making this actually stick? It's one word: automation. You have to treat your savings like it's a bill you have to pay. Your electricity bill, your rent, and your savings bill. Set up automatic transfers so that on payday, the money just goes where it's supposed to. It moves to your different buckets without you even having to think about it. That's how you build consistency.
All right, now that you've got the basic framework down, let's talk about a few expert tips to really level up your plan and maybe even get you to your goal a little bit faster. When your timeline gets short, we're talking 1 to 2 years out, the #1 priority for your down payment money is safety, period. You want it somewhere that's earning a decent bit of interest, but has zero, and I mean zero, risk of losing value. Think high-yield savings accounts, money markets, or CDs. At this stage, it's all about preservation, not risky growth.
And that leads us to the flip side, and please, this is one of the biggest mistakes people make. Do not keep your near-term house fund in the stock market or in crypto. I get it, I know it's tempting to chase those higher returns, but the risk is just way too high for a short-term goal. You can't afford to have the market take a dive and wipe out a chunk of your savings right when you're about to make an offer. Just don't gamble with your down payment.
Okay, now for a really powerful exception to that don't touch your retirement funds rule. There's a special provision from the IRS specifically for first-time home buyers that you absolutely need to know about. Here's how this Roth IRA hack works, and it's pretty cool. Now, with a Roth IRA, you can always take out the money you personally put in, your contributions, at any time for any reason with no taxes or penalties. That's just a standard feature. But the special rule for first-time home buyers lets you take it a step further. You can also withdraw up to $10,000 of the earnings or the growth in that account, and you won't have to pay that usual 10% early withdrawal penalty. This can be a game changer if you just need that last little bit of cash to get over the finish line. Whew! Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down into a super clear, simple blueprint that you can literally start using this week. Here it is, your 5-step action plan. This is what turns that huge, overwhelming goal into a simple, manageable process. Number 1, know your real number, not the 20% myth. 2, set your timeline. That defines your strategy. 3, get your free money with the 401k match, then split your savings into those home and grow buckets. 4, automate everything so it runs on its own. And 5, never, ever fully stop investing for your future.
And that's really the heart of it all. With a smart, balanced approach like this, you're not sacrificing one dream for another. You're building a plan where both can happen. Future homeowner you and future retired you can both win. You don't have to choose.
So now, I'm turning it over to you. What's your down payment goal? What's your timeline? Just thinking about it, maybe even writing it down in the comments, is the very first step toward making it real. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for tuning in.